Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, in a small cottage at the edge of a dense, dark forest, lived a poor woodcutter and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Their mother had passed away long ago, and their stepmother was a harsh woman who resented having to care for them. Food was scarce, and the family often went to bed hungry. Though their father loved them dearly, he was weak-willed and often gave in to his wife's cruel demands. One cold evening, as the children lay in their small beds, they overheard their stepmother whispering to their father. "There is not enough food for all of us," she said in a sharp voice. "If we leave the children deep in the woods, they will not find their way back. We will no longer have to feed them, and we will survive." The woodcutter was horrified. "I cannot abandon my children," he protested. "They are my flesh and blood. How can you suggest such a terrible thing? If we do not, we shall all starve," his wife snapped. "Do you want us all to perish? Or will you do what must be done?" Hansel, being clever, had been listening. He crept outside under the pale moonlight and gathered small white pebbles, stuffing them into his pockets. "Do not worry, Gretel," he whispered when he returned. "I have a plan." The next morning, their stepmother woke them early. "Come, children," she said with false sweetness. "We are going to gather wood in the forest." As they walked, Hansel secretly dropped pebbles along the path. The trees loomed tall around them, their branches whispering in the wind. Birds chirped above, oblivious to the children's fate. When they reached a clearing, their stepmother ordered them to sit and wait while she and their father collected firewood. Hours passed, and the sky darkened. "They are not coming back, are they?" Gretel asked, her voice trembling. "Do not be afraid," Hansel said, pointing at the shining pebbles. "The moonlight will guide us home." They carefully retraced their steps and arrived back at their cottage. Their father wept with joy, but their stepmother's face hardened. "We must get rid of them once and for all," she told her husband that night. The following day, she led them even deeper into the woods. This time, Hansel had no time to collect pebbles, so he dropped breadcrumbs instead. But when night fell, they discovered that the birds had eaten their trail. Lost and frightened, the children wandered for hours. "Hansel, what shall we do?" Gretel whispered. "I am so hungry and cold." "We must keep walking," Hansel said, though he, too, was weary. "There must be a way out." At dawn, they stumbled upon a strange house made entirely of gingerbread and candy. The windows were made of sugar, and the roof was coated in chocolate. "Look, Hansel!" Gretel gasped. "A house made of sweets." Starving, they eagerly nibbled on the sugary walls. Just then, the door creaked open, and an old woman stepped out. "My poor children," she said kindly, "come inside and rest. You must be so tired and hungry." Unaware of the danger, Hansel and Gretel followed her inside. The house smelled of warm bread and honey, and a cozy fire crackled in the hearth. On the table, there was a feast: roasted meat, fruits, and cakes more delicious than anything they had ever seen. But as soon as the door shut, the woman's kind smile faded. Her eyes gleamed with cruelty. "You foolish children," she cackled. "You have walked straight into my trap." She grabbed Hansel by the arm and dragged him to a cage, locking him inside. "You, boy, will be my feast. And you, girl, will cook for me until he is fat enough to eat." Gretel sobbed, but Hansel remained calm. "Do not be afraid," he whispered. "We will find a way out." Days passed, and the witch checked Hansel daily, demanding he stretch out his finger. But Hansel, knowing she had poor eyesight, held out a thin bone instead. Frustrated, the witch decided to eat him anyway. "I am tired of waiting," she screeched. She ordered Gretel to prepare the oven. "Lean inside and check if it is hot enough," she commanded. But Gretel saw her chance. Summoning all her courage, she pretended to be confused. "How do I check?" she asked innocently. "Foolish girl." "Like this," the witch snarled and leaned inside. At that moment, Gretel pushed her with all her might and slammed the oven door shut. The witch shrieked and pounded on the door, but it was too late. Gretel rushed to free Hansel. Together, they searched the house and found chests filled with gold and jewels. "This will help us start a new life," Hansel said, filling their pockets. Carrying as much as they could, they left the gingerbread house and wandered through the forest. Eventually, they found their way home. Their father, overjoyed, embraced them tightly. "My dear children, I thought I had lost you forever." He told them that he had sent their stepmother away, realizing too late how cruel she had been. With the witch's treasure, they never went hungry again. Hansel and Gretel had outwitted darkness and returned home stronger than ever. They used their newfound fortune to help others in their village, ensuring no child would ever be abandoned again. The end.